pausing for a commercial.
Okay.
That's right. Pause for commercial break. Right? We do a dance or something. Right? So the shepherds are the first ones who come. What does that say about the kind of Savior and King that Jesus is going to be? Right? Yeah, King for the humble. That the people that come to adore him first are the people that no one else wants, with these smelly sheep. Again, these folks are living out in the wilderness, right? And they're the first ones who come. Eventually, the Magi are going to come, all right? Probably not at the exact same time, but some distance has followed. Again, we know a lot about them. They're from what is today Iran. Probably part of a religion called the Zoroastrians, right? Who were also looking for a Savior. And actually also had the prophecy that the Savior was going to be born of a virgin. And they come, they're not Jewish. They're not Jewish. And so they're representing that Christ has come for the other people as well, right? For the non-Jews. And so right there, at the birth of Christ, when he's just days old, we've already got great insights as to what kind of Savior and Messiah he's going to be. That he's come for the poor, the forgotten, the lowly. But he's also come not just for Jews, but that he's come for the whole world. Very shortly after the birth, Herod, who was a crazy man, who was the political ruler of the time, finds out that there's this king because the Magi told him. He gets jealous, right? I don't want any other king except myself. And so he starts, he demands that everyone has to, he's going to kill any child because he wants to wipe out any competition, right? The ugliness of jealousy and insecurity. Jesus, again, this insight that he's going to be persecuted. That the authorities, those in authority, the big shots, are not going to like him. And so this becomes Jesus' first travel. So Jesus visits Africa. Right? We often don't think about that, but he goes to Egypt, which is the continent of Africa. And Jesus goes there and hides out. This would have been a normal escape route for Jewish people, right? When they would have fled during times of persecution, going to Egypt would have been a typical place where they would have gone to hide and sort of been able to survive. So they went there for a period of time. Also, one of these early rituals that we know about is the presentation in the temple, which was a Jewish ritual where the father gives the name of the child. So Joseph would have said, I want to name him Jesus. And he would have been circumcised, marking him as part of the Jewish people. And that goes back, of course, to the Hebrew scriptures, that the circumcision becomes a mark for the Jewish people. So he's identifying that he is a Jew. That he's a Jew and he's experiencing these things. And that offering in the temple. And of course, the great irony that here's Jesus being offered in the temple when 33 years later, he's going to be the one who's offered not in the temple, but on the cross. Okay? So again, everything that's happening there in the Christmas story is going to be repeated again 33 years later and throughout his life. Right? And so it's so filled with powerful, powerful, powerful imagery. After that, he sort of goes into hiding for 30 years. And he lives a rather simple life. We really know nothing about it other than the time that he was lost in the temple. Of course, people say he wasn't lost. His parents just didn't know where he was. It's a different thing, right? He was where he was supposed to be, right? And again, right there at the age of 12, teaching people, right? How old are you? 11. So imagine going to school tomorrow and all the teachers sitting around listening to you. Could you imagine that happening? You could imagine that. Okay, I'm very sorry. Normally, with most 11-year-olds, that would not happen, but you're rather unique, I guess, right? But again, here was Jesus teaching the others, and they were spellbound. Spellbound by the way he was speaking. And then later on, we begin this public life. Right? By the way, we talked the other day about the rosary, right? These things that we're talking about are all mysteries of the rosary as well. And so the public life, Jesus is baptized. Right? And we'll talk more about that when we cover baptism. But Jesus himself is baptized. And he's a great experience. Who remembers what he hears said as he goes down into the river? The voice. What's the voice say? This is my beloved son. Listen to him. Right? God the Father telling us that he's beloved. Then he goes into the desert. He's tempted. Jesus experiences temptation as he did throughout his life. Right? So again, he can identify with us. He proclaims the kingdom. He talks about what it means to be the Father. This is all happening over the course of 3 years, where he preaches and he teaches. And again, we have the rest of our lives to study that and what that means. He performs miracles. Why do you think Jesus performed miracles? Yeah, to show himself as God, that he's got this power. I mean, none of us can raise the dead, can we? Can you do that also? Maybe not that you're aware. Okay.
He's working on it.
Working on it. Give him a couple years. Maybe by the time he's 15, he'll have that down, right? So two things. One, it shows that he's God. But secondly, it draws a crowd. Am I right? Yeah. If you find out that someone's healing people, you want to go hang with that guy. And so he gets the crowd, and then he's able to teach them the real thing. Where you see this is the moment where he is talking about the forgiveness of sin. And there's that crippled man there. And they say, who are you to say that you can forgive sin? He says, okay, what's easier for me to say? Forgive sin, or to this crippled man, get up and walk? But just to show you that I have the power, I say, arise and walk. So they must have been like, huh. Something to this guy. It's all part of the package of how Jesus is drawing people to himself. And all through it, we talked about this the other week with the Trinity, Jesus' whole mission about revealing the Father. Right? That's what he's doing, drawing us to the Father. And that's his whole public life. So 30 years hidden, 3 years public. 3 years public. We're going to spend just a minute or two talking at table about your thoughts and questions, and then we'll come back and we're going to pray on the other side of your paper, the Angelus, which is this beautiful prayer that sort of lets us reflect on that early part. So, just a minute, insights, questions, comments about the Christmas mystery or the life of Jesus.